TGC Requiem. I'm here with Death Shadow Jun. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at my opponent's name. Um, we're going to be on the play here. If this were just a black land, I'd almost keep this. But this is not good enough. We're gonna mulligan here. This is a excellent opening hand. Sorry about my alarm going off there. We'll go ahead and keep this. Tarfire on top. We're actually going to go ahead and bottom this. Go ahead and open with an Overgrown Tomb. Alright, so probably gonna take, wow, yeah, so he is just on creatures. So we can use Thoughtseize to take away the second creature. He's definitely going to get one vial down. If we take Thalia, the next turn he'll run another Aether Vial. So we'll actually take one of the Aether Vials. It makes our, potentially makes our Tarmogoyf bigger later. So this is one of those situations where we are going to get to Thoughtseize, fetch, Tarfire, turn on Traverse. It won't be until the next turn. Well, that's not true. So we could... yeah, we're gonna hold the Tarfire till the next turn. We're not gonna rush out Delirium on Traverse. We can use it the next turn. Hey, look, he's got a Thalia. No path, though. What are we looking at here? This should be our opponent's hand. We're going to go ahead and run out the Death Shadow right now. Short of him having a path, it's pretty well insulated here. So there's a good chance he's going to take the Traverse here. He actually doesn't, so he's trying to keep us off of... Well, actually, that makes a lot of sense. He is both... it doesn't matter. He's both keeping us off the Delirium to cast the Traverse as well as... but what's going to happen here, we're just going to go ahead and Tarfire the Tidehollow Sculler. That will give us a Tarfire back. We'll go ahead and use Traverse. Yeah, we're just going to go get another Death Shadow. It's possible we should have waited to do that, but I don't think so. This allows us to both Tarfire ourselves and play an extra Death Shadow next turn. So if the opponent leads Shambling Vent here, I think we're in pretty good shape. If they go with the Temple, we'll probably be looking at a Thought-Knots here. He may just wait to Aether Vial in the Thalia. Holding the path, perhaps? No, so he's going to put in Thalia. And then we're really looking to hoping to draw a land next turn. We can Liliana to kill the Thalia. I guess non-creature. I'm thinking instants and sorceries, so Liliana ain't coming down unless we kill Thalia in combat. So we no longer know what's in our opponent's hand. One can assume he's drawing towards Flicker Wisp with the Aether Vial. So we're just going to attack with both. We're going to hope he tries to set up a Shambling Vent Thalia double block. And then we'll Street Wraith to so he's going to Flicker Wisp, bouncing one of our Death Shadows. That'll come back at end step. We have to be real careful here, though. Right now he is at 5-7 damage. Okay, so actually him activating the Shambling Vent's good here. If he hadn't activated the Shambling Vent, he could have cracked back for lethal, which would have meant we cannot Street Wraith. But now before damage we'll just cycle. This will allow us to kill both of the creatures. And now we're still in a good position to race. Alright, so I guess we're attacking for lethal. There's no reason to just trying to think if we should Street Wraith before combat. I don't think so. If he has anything to Vial in, he's probably going to Vial and block. Unless it's Flicker Wisp, in which case he's going to flicker one and then attack for lethal, and there's really nothing we can do about that. If he has a second Flicker Wisp, we're just probably dead. If we Street Wraith, all we can do is kill one of them. But again, it doesn't force a second block. So we're just going to go in for the attack and see what happens. Because there's really not a whole lot we could do. We could try and Street Wraith and get a land to cast Liliana. Okay. Were there no cards in exile? So he can't actually do anything except block. So here it is worth cycling, because if we can draw into a removal spell, then we get lethal. And if we force a block and draw a land, we can Liliana to kill the Flicker Wisp. We did draw removal, but it costs too much. There's really nothing we can do here. He just happened to have another one. So out of curiosity, we're just going to go ahead and cycle, because we are going to lose. See what we would have drawn. Or is the draw card not going to work for us? Okay, so lost turn 6 there. On the play. Eldrazi and taxes. Alright, so we probably want terminate here. Oops. Liliana of the Veil is good. I think this is actually one of the few matchups where Lingering Souls is actually really pretty good. I shouldn't say one of the few, but you know, the kind of perfect type matches. Collective Brutality, not so much. I don't know if there's a whole lot we want to surgically extract from them. Ancient Grudge could be okay. Let's look through the deck and see if there's anything that seems kind of dead. I don't think Temur Battle Rage is a necessary card in this matchup. I think we could probably pull one of the lilies. Yeah. I actually think we are Tarfire is not the greatest. I mean, it hits a lot of their creatures. It's just a couple it doesn't. Well, really it's like Displacer and Wasteland Strangler. I think we are going to pull one Thoughtseize in the matchup. And I think that's it. We're going to run 61 here. Not ideal, but I'm just not sure what else we want to cut here. It's possible we just should have pulled one fewer Lingering Souls in, but... Alright, what do we got here? Inquisition, Fatal Push, blah blah. So this is actually fine. We'll keep this. We don't have a creature, but we're not always going to have a creature. Displacer is a real problematic card. We have Tarfire to handle. The Sculler, we're not worried about that, so Displacer it is. And we have a Thalia incoming. Alright, so Death Shadow. Don't have anything exiled that Wasteland Strangler is going to be a problem with. We can get down to 14, 12. Yeah, we're good with this. So every other fetch in the deck can get us green, but only the black fetches can get us Godless Shrine, so we're going to pick up the Godless Shrine right now. And now we have an answer to either Thalia or Tidehollow Sculler. He probably should take the Tarfire. He'd prefer us to use the Fatal Push to get the Tarfire back rather than use the... And now we have a fetch that we can crack to get our Fatal Push. To hit a 4 CMC creature. We also can outsize a Wasteland Strangler, though I don't think there's anything in exile anyway. So we actually can do a lot of damage here. So he does not put down any blockers. We could do 6 damage to ourselves, putting us down to 4, which would put our Death Shadow at a 9/9. We could Ghor-Clan to put it to 13. It's just all a bit unnecessary. We got to manage our life total a little bit here. So if we take 2 more, do 6, putting him at 11. Which means if he does 3 to 6, that puts us at 7. So we have a good chance of trampling over for lethal next turn if he attacks. Flicker Wisp plus Shambling Vent's going to do potentially 5 to us. Yeah. So we're going to do this, take the 6. If he draws an upright land and attacks with, though granted we do have the Fatal Push to handle one of the creatures next turn. I would assume he is not going to attack. Or if he does, just with a Flicker Wisp. And that is something we are A-okay with. If he's holding up Shambling Vent as a blocker, I think we're in good shape. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go ahead and kill the 1 Flicker Wisp with this on the stack. That way he can't have 2 blockers back. And then we can Ghor-Clan over for lethal. So he's going to leave a Caves upright. There's really no reason not to run Street Wraith. That gives us access. So he actually has Caves up, so he's presenting Path. We're in another situation like last game where, I mean, if he has it, he has it. We're done. Theoretically, Street Wraith could put us into removal to kill the Flicker Wisp, but by doing so, leaves us open to Shambling Vent. Alright, and he did not have it, he was just representing it. And so we get the win on turn 5 there. So the deck is still pretty fast. Alright, so we're going to be... Sorry, we were on the play last time, so we'll be on the draw this game. We could try and play a little bit of a slower game on the draw, just not fetch as hard towards our life totals. don't know that I love the Starfires though. Try and play to our lilies a little bit. Don't really feel like we have any need for Ghost Quarter in the matchup. Not really anything for Surgical. Definitely don't think we want to be bringing in Ancient Grudge. It's possible we want the Lily, the third Lily. Definitely want the K commands, the Abrupt Decay. Starfires are good, not great. I think we might just have to play a slightly slower paced game here. We could attempt to cut, well, we do have some extra sorceries. I think we're gonna, on the draw here, just try and play a slightly slower game. I think we are gonna maybe bring in an Ancient Grudge, just one Ancient Grudge. I think we're gonna cut a Tarfire for it. Ancient Grudge can, on the draw, help us with Aether Vial and Tide Hollow Sculler. This is a pretty decent hand. We really obviously are looking for a second land there. Bauble's going to get us a couple extra draws. We're already on the draw, or an extra draw rather. I think this is actually keepable. Definitely land light for sure. In some ways, this almost feels like this could help us out. I've lost to Leonin Arbiter too many times to not take this. Plus, he is actually kind of stuck on mana to some extent. And just to be on the safe side, actually black-white, he can't even cast. No. So normally I would say we could wait till his upkeep to bauble. Great. Fatal Push is good. I was going to say he couldn't actually cast a Tide Hollow Sculler even if he drew it. But I'm pretty sure we're going to see the Leonin Arbiter here. Thankfully we have a Fatal Push. Hopefully we draw a fetch land on our turn. So we're going to go get a, oh crap. Oh, we do have 4 card types. Excellent. So we're going to go get a red-green. We're going to traverse, getting a Godless Shrine. Help us cast that first Lingering Souls. So we're going to let this ability trigger. It's Displacer. That's problematic. Planes. Actually, and at that point, it probably should have held on to that bauble in case we drew another Fatal Push. Is he going to just go ahead and... Is he going to Displacer here or Flicker Wisp? Not quite sure what he's trying to do here. Displacer makes the most sense. Thank God for a fetch land. Alright, so he realized 2 mana up. We know all 3 cards in his deck. We need a black mana source. So Eldrazi Displacer is one of the worst cards for us in the matchup. This is going to be excellent against Flicker Wisp as well. We'll be able to flashback Lingering Souls and play the Death Shadow the next turn. Atherios is going to be a little too late. Oh man, and we can get rid of the Wasteland Strangler. So I guess we gotta just kind of think this through. We're okay with taking the life loss off the Atherios, so we want to get stuff that Liliana will kill. So we'll leave these in the deck. We're going to take the Wasteland Strangler. And we're just going to put the pressure on him here. I don't think they typically run Wrath the God. Even if he does drop a Wrath the God, we have Liliana to get our Death Shadow back. We can, depending on what he does, even use... So I'm assuming he's going to either flicker the Liliana or the Spirit to kill the Spirit. Yeah. So he's actually put himself into a situation where I think 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so he's just dead on the crackback. Basically, we're going to take the damage. So we're going to take the damage here. Pay the 3 life to prevent this, yes. And then we're attacking for 9, which is exactly lethal. And we get the win. So, bit grindy. I lose to Eldrazi in taxes all the time, so it feels good every time I beat him. It's like playing Merfolk. It's like I always lose to Merfolk, so whenever I beat him, I always feel good about it. It always feels hairy. But yeah, the deck has the ability to grind and play some grinding. Not to say that the opponent necessarily had the greatest hand, and not to say we didn't get lucky, because we had a very timely Fatal Push, and that Eldrazi Displacer could have been a real problem child. Also, the Fatal Push with Leonin Arbiter. So I mean, we definitely drew well, but I mean, the flip side of that is, they potentially could have locked us out with a Leonin Arbiter and won with what was otherwise, a junky hand just because of the timing. So it works both ways. Excited to get the win. So that put us for the match at 2-1. Of course, I'm terrible about keeping this up to date during the matches. And then for the league, that puts us at 1-0, 2-1. I do think this one would probably be one of those matchups where it's fairly difficult. Probably one of the tougher matchups that this deck is going to face. Typically, when you talk about the decks that this deck has some trouble with, it's decks that either have a lot of removal and then can do a very big amount of damage in a short period of time because you put your life total so low. So you could even think like if you're playing a Grixis deck that had a fair number of Fatal Pushes, and all of a sudden they just you get your life total down to like 7, and they bolt snap and then attack with snappy for lethal, right? It could just happen at your end step. The other type of deck that is done well are decks that have some disruption paired with a larger number of creatures, and their creatures here with Flicker Wisp, for example, Eldrazi Displacer, similar to Bant Eldrazi with Eldrazi Displacer, they have enough disruption generated by the creatures that they're usually able to get enough damage through. Not necessarily all the time, but again, enough for it to be a close matchup. So anyway, this is that match. We'll be back with another match soon.